안녕하세요. 오늘 사회를 맡은 레이언 핀다의 이혜민이라고 합니다. Hello everyone. I'm Hamin Lee from Rayon Protocol in Finda. 반갑습니다. 네. 세션은 영어로 진행하는 걸로 알고 진행을 하겠습니다. I'm very glad to have you all 하겠습니다. I'm very glad to have you all during the discussion session, and please introduce yourself a bit briefly.
So my name is Edward Lee. I'm a director at Line Tech Plus, is servicing Line's crypto exchange called Bitmax. I'm basically leading the whole business and the product. I'm the product manager of Bitmax. Yeah.
I'm Ariel, Ling, the founding partner and chief operating officer for Bitmax.io and the global digital marketing chief operating officer for Bitmax.io and the global digital mercantile.
Co-founder and CEO of Zeniex.
My name is Kenny, sir, and I'm Chief Strategic Officer and co-founder of the Play One, formerly Coin매니저.
Thank you very much. We've heard from Zeniex and a Bitmax presentation. Zeniex introduced the concept of mutual fund into the crypto industry, and Ariel has almost 20 years, 18 years of experience in the Wall Street, and now she has established a digital asset trading platform. So we can see that the practice and resources of the traditional financial market is transferring into the crypto industry. And as the market keeps evolving, what do you think will be the next breakthrough of the crypto exchanges or the whole crypto industry? So especially this question for coin매니저 and Bitmax, because two of you already explained during the presentation in details.
I think can you go first?
Okay, hard question, so because we are not an exchange. We are. Let me briefly introduce our Coin매니저 and our new service, Clay. It's a cryptocurrency wallet platform with a dApp platform integrated in. So we are now operating Ethereum and Ontology wallet and many exchange wallets altogether. For example, Binance and Bitmax and BTC. So and some dApps like token swap with the Hyper network and the trading feature in the single services. So now's the time to answer. So I think that cryptocurrency exchanges will be facing very difficult challenges because I think personally I use so many exchanges for more than 10 exchanges, but I think that I mainly use only one or two that has a lot of that has very good fundamentals, like good order books, like a good market making. Yeah, so of course, if a new mining exchanges came out, I move out to the exchange and some mining and live out after the price down. Yeah, so I think fundamentals is very important for the exchanges itself. But exchanges should provide new values to the customers. For example, we are thinking that as a sort of new services, we are thinking that exchange itself is like providing just a stock trading in traditional finance, but there are more financial products like a deposit, lending, and derivatives and futures and so on. I think that a new financial product will came out for the new generation exchanges. I think Zeniex can do one of that.
So was the question the breakthroughs of the current crypto exchanges, or what the crypto exchanges have to actually break through in the current situation? Okay. Yeah, so if I answer that question in Line's perspective, the reason why Line started all this crypto exchange, people were really surprised why you guys are doing a messenger and why studying finance. So Line started something called Line Financials, and basically in Japan and other countries we're looking into doing different types of insurance, stock trading, so on and so forth. So if you look at like technologies, fintech, as you're expert in, there's a lot of services in the States like Robinhood that actually have better consumer experience compared to the very institutional and where I think you're strong. Right? Line is an expert at consumer internet, and I think what Line can provide is a very easy and seamless experience in finance. And in that same perspective, in cryptocurrencies is I think it's a future of not only, it's a future of digital assets, assets itself. So for that aspect, I think cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency exchange for us made a lot of sense to look into the future for the next finance when we're actually starting the finance 1.0. We wanted to go into finance 2.0 from the start because we thought it's a technology thing, it's something that we wanted to kind of conquer. And I think additionally, what crypto exchanges actually have to break through is adoption. I think that's another thing that actually comes from a lot from liquidity too.
Yeah.
At the same time, it comes from what cryptocurrency exchanges, how they educate the users, what tokens they list, what kind of experience they provide, fair trading experience and all that is something that we really try to work really hard on.
Thank you. So we can understand through their answers a little bit. They have different like strategies. So when I'm wondering that all of your like service obviously like covers worldwide, but but Ariel from like US and Line, Bitmax from Japan, and so is there any kind of like a strategy, like a change or difference between Asian market or like West market in your business?
If I answer the question first, I think I'll just put an analogy with messaging and trading. It's different. But messaging is text, so it's universal. You text different languages, but basically on the same aspect, trading is a universal thing. So, and I think cryptocurrencies are extremely similar. It's a universal thing. So because we're doing a crypto exchange, it's an asset that actually is different types of blockchain services that is universal, and people want to trade all over the world. So, I think we see some differences between users in, let's say, Asia or in the Western communities, but at the same time, we see more similarities because the core is the same thing. It's trading. So that's, I think, what we're kind of aiming for, trying to find that core and build upon that.
From my perspective, I think coming from the traditional trading environment, we've clearly seen there is a difference. And that is how we actually position the entire global digital mercantile, the way we globally position. So we're looking at basically across outside the United States or outside developing markets, even including some part of the European market. The cryptocurrency is predominantly, it's very fragmented, it's predominant by the retail investors, enthusiasm, the early adopters, right? And then what's kind of like what we're looking forward in terms of futures is that whole wave of institution investors with that sophisticated understanding, sophisticated trading behavior to imagine that, the whole understanding of the financial structure, the asset tokens and things like that. There are a whole slew of investors out there, and I think it really comes down to the exchange has to be able to gear towards the different user requirement and also the different type of jurisdiction. So if you're looking at crypto to crypto, it is fairly, the regulatory boundary is very sort of vague, not really solid, but when it gets down to the fiat, the business model becomes very transparent. So in the fiat world, it almost like you have in the United States, the exchange has to have the capability of like a bank, okay, be able to handle the money. And then from the security side of it, then the exchange has to take on a completely different market structure. So in my mind, the exchange, it depends on, again, where your business model is. If it's crypto to crypto, it's fairly fluid. I would agree with you. it is kind of, there is a emerging in terms of the user behavior, user expectancy across the world. But when you involve in the fiat, and when you look at specific jurisdiction that you want to zero in on institution for the United States or the institution for specific like the UK, then will be changing.